Hello, friends. Welcome back to Jazz Creates. I'm Jasmine, and this is the first episode of my Beginner's Guide tutorial series. You can expect one video a week for this series, and I really hope you stick around to watch whether you're a beginner or you've been playing the game for years. Before we get started, I just wanted to share with you this map. It's called Windfield. You can find this map in the Park Life DLC. I highly recommend if you don't have this DLC. But it's a beautiful map, as you can tell, and I think it'll be really good for this tutorial series. With that, let's get started. When starting your city, the first thing you want to do is pause the game. This will help you so that you aren't losing money at a really fast rate. Money is very important in the very beginning if you are playing on the management side. So the first thing that you want to do is use this small road. This is the only road that is available to you in the beginning of the game. So you are just going to make a small piece of road there and then delete it. Doing so opens up these other roads that become available in your menu, and we're going to look for this 2-lane one-way road. And what we're going to do is we are just going to continue a very small piece up to this first guideline for both sides of the road. So we're going to do the same thing on this other side here. And you can see they're both pointing in the correct direction. If they weren't, you can just go to your menu and click change direction, and that will change the road direction. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to make a connection that will be our main connection for this city. Now there are definitely some different options that you can go with. Probably one of the easiest options is to use a medium road or a large road and placing it in between these two roads that you just made and then connecting them. So I will just demonstrate that quickly. So you can see I'm just going to make a small section of road and then connect it with this 2-lane one-way road. That is an easy option to do. Another option is to use this small roundabout. It does cost a little bit of money, but it's something that will help you with your traffic flow. This is definitely a good option as well to start your city. But when using the roundabout, what you need to keep in mind is that it will need to be upgraded, and you just have to be careful with how many intersections are coming off of it. You want to make sure that the traffic is flowing smoothly and that cars aren't slowing down. So that is an option. For this map, I think I'm going to go with simple, and I'm just going to use this medium road here. Now, before we do anything else, we should connect our utilities. This is another thing that is only available when you first start. So we have some options as far as electricity. We have the wind turbine, which is 6,000 megawatts, or 0 to 8 depending on the force of the wind and placement. Then we have the coal power plant, which produces 40 megawatts, but it's a lot more expensive. And it creates heavy pollution while the wind turbine doesn't produce any. Other things we need to do is place a water pumping station. If you click on the water pumping station, it automatically opens up the water menu. These arrows here are telling you the direction that the water is flowing. So probably the most important tip you will need for water is that your water pumping station, if you choose to use this, needs to be on the upstream part of your river or your body of water, while your sewer line, which is the water drain pipe, needs to be going downstream. Because otherwise, if you place your water drain pipe above your water pumping station, that will pollute your water and it will make your citizens sick. They will die. So we are going to place this kind of around right here in the middle. And then we're going to place the water drain pipe. Let's go with here. Then we need to connect them. Another thing to keep in mind when placing water pipes is they are very expensive. They're probably the most expensive thing you will spend in the very beginning, so you want to maximize those as much as possible. Now let's look at our wind to see where we can place our wind turbine. The dark spots are where the wind is strongest, where you will get the maximum amount of megawatts. So we could place one somewhere in this area, but it doesn't get to 8 over here. It gets to 8 right there. So, but that's kind of in the middle of our town. So these are just some things to think about. I think what I'm gonna do is place it here just because it's on the edge of our tile here, our space. And you can see when placing a wind turbine, there's this orange ring around it. That orange ring is telling you the noise pollution that this wind turbine makes. If we go back to the menu, it will tell you the noise pollution is 75. That's kind of high. But when dealing with noise pollution, the main thing you need to focus on is that you don't want to have your residents in that orange ring. So if you have residential zones in that orange ring, it will have a similar effect on their health as the dirty water. They will get sick and eventually die if there, is no proper health care for them. So that's another thing to keep in mind when starting your city. Now, before we do anything else, we want to make sure that we connect the electricity to our water services. So I'm going to use these wind turbines to connect them. And then we also need to connect it to our sewage line. So that is that. Before we do anything else, we can start making some zones. So I am not going to, make this super long, crazy expensive road with this medium road here that we built, because you can see how quickly that cost goes up. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 2-lane gravel road. This is the cheapest road you can possibly make in the game. This road is very economical, especially when you're starting out your city. Now, I know it doesn't look very attractive, but we can always upgrade this road so that, once we have more money, the roads can, be more attractive. So the next thing that we need to decide is, where are we going to place our residents and where are we going to place our industry? Now, from the very bottom of the menu on the screen on the very right, the far right side, you will see a green bar that is telling you that residential zones are needed. So here's the zoning menu here. And it's kind of just telling you, residential, commercial, industrial. Those are the zones that we have. So your citizens, when you're first starting out, your citizens will move in no matter what, whether they're commercial or industrial. They just want to move in. Your industrial is what brings in jobs, but the industrial also brings in pollution. So when you are placing your industrial zones, you want to make sure that they are not anywhere near your residential zones. You can place commercial zones to create a buffer between your industrial and your residential. That is highly recommended. But just ensuring that you don't have industrial next to residential is absolutely crucial. So I am just making this very small grid here. This is going to be the start of our industrial zones. The reason I'm putting them here is because of this wind turbine, also because of this how we've placed our power lines and everything. But since I've made this road, I feel like with how the ground pollution of the industrial affects the water, we actually might want to move our water pump down. That actually might be a good idea. So just to, be on the safe side, I'm going to move our water pump down here. And this is telling us that the water pipe is not connected. We will do that. There we go. And it seems to not have power. So we're just going to connect that there. So this is the start of our industry. Now, from these rows here, you can see there is some green space in the middle. This is just telling you that there will be space once zones are populated, buildings are populated. This green space here is the space in between those. So if I were to make another road, there are no more spaces. That means this will be totally maxed out to its full potential with buildings. Personally, I like to have space between my buildings, but I think that the industrial buildings are actually kind of large. I kind of like having these smaller blocks for them. So I am going to make one row here of industrial, and hopefully this should connect to where I don't need to make any more power lines. Now, next we can move on to our residential zones. So we have some options. We could move this way in the city, or we can go this way in the city. I think probably we have a little bit of a hill here. It would be nice to have residential coming up over here, but I think right now we don't want to get too carried away. So I'm just going to make a very small zone over here on this side of the street. And you can see these guidelines the game will give you. You can, leave them on, or you can turn them off. It's entirely up to you how you want to play the game. I like to have them on most of the time, just to give me an idea of spacing and, how things are going to populate in the game. So we need to connect our water, so I'm gonna do that now. You can see how expensive the water is here, but we'll be able to adjust the budget for these once we've hit our first population milestone in the game. The population milestones are really important to hit in the beginning because they will give you extra money. So when you when you're first starting out, your money drains very, very fast. The population milestones are really important to make sure that you are staying profitable. So now I'm unpausing the game and I'm going to put in a couple of residential zones here. I think I'm going to leave this little part of the street open because this is going to be our main connection here. So, I may want to put in school or something else there. Who knows? I'm leaving it open for now. Now, another thing that you also want to keep in mind is that your citizens will go to work in the industrial zones, and then they will come home. Before they come home, they may want to shop. They might want to go to the store. They might want to pick up something for a friend. That is why we want to place these commercial zones in between our industry and residential. So the blue is commercial, so I'm just making a very small segment there, and then I'm going to speed up the game and we can watch some people move in. So also just wanted to make a quick note, this map is a temperate map. I think that means that it's basically like kind of a default American style buildings. There are also European style buildings in the game. So as I'm making this here, sorry, I'm kind of cut myself off here. I am placing down these power lines, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to get them to line up just a little bit with these blocks here. These blocks are telling you where buildings are going to populate once they've been zoned. So once they populate, they will automatically have electricity. But right now we need to place down these power lines because they are separated from the electricity over here. So you can see here how the power lines are blue. This is telling you they are powered from this source here, the wind turbine. This blue area means that it is powered with electricity. This one here, it is not connected, so it will need to be connected either by more zoning or through a power line. So we can watch this very quickly. I will place down some power line or some zoning here next to our power lines, and this should populate some buildings for us, and then we won't have to connect this with power lines. Now we're having some issues here because nothing has populated right here. So I'm just going to make a little power line there, and now everything is resolved. They have power and they are happy. From the right bottom zoning menu, you can see our industrial need is still high, which is fine. We're just going to create a couple of more zones. And you can see, these buildings are pretty uniform. I just like to kind of make smaller blocks with my industries. So we still haven't been able to power this, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a connection to our power line And that'll be that. I believe our first population milestone is 350 or 360. So I'm just going to make a couple of more green zones, and hopefully we can hit that population milestone soon. So you can see our cars, they are on their way. We also have some pedestrians that are walking to work as well. So you will see playing the game, there will be motorists, there will be pedestrians, and there will be cyclists. So one way to mitigate some traffic is you can create bike paths or bike lanes and encourage people to bike to work instead of using their vehicles, their cars. That helps a little bit with traffic management in the game. For the most part, you will see from playing this game that most of the game is spent managing the traffic. All right, so we are at 339. We need some more electricity, so I'm gonna place another wind turbine here, and that should keep us going. So let's add some more roads here and expand our residential zones. So now that we have made a couple of rows of industry, I think I want to break it up a little bit. Oh, I was going to say with some commercial. So this is our first milestone. We're at 480. So there will be some different population milestones depending on your map and the amount of buildable area. So this map that I'm using has a higher buildable area. I'm not sure exactly what it was. It may have been 90, 80, something in that range. That's why our population milestone is a little bit higher at 480. Sometimes it could be 350, 360, around somewhere in that range. It really just depends on the map that you have chosen. So in this first milestone, Little Hamlet, we get taxes, loans, garbage, healthcare, and education and campus areas. So the garbage is the very first thing that we need to focus on once we close this out. You can also see these other buildings here that that come with this update. So if you have the Green Cities DLC, the recycling center will be an option. If not, you will have to go with the landfill site. The landfill site has much more capacity to process garbage than the recycling center does, but it also has a lot of ground pollution that you need to watch out for. Another thing with the landfill sites is that once you place them down, you can't delete them. Unless they have been emptied into either a recycling center, another landfill site, or a garbage processing incineration plant. So I'm going to go ahead and place down this landfill site, and I guess we can place it. Where should we place this? I don't want to place it like on the edge. Maybe here. Maybe that's fine. Okay, so we also have a healthcare, a medical clinic, and then we have an elementary school that we can build. The elementary school is probably a safe bet to go with because education, the more you educate your citizens, the more they will be able to have, well, higher paying jobs. They can get out of the industrial work and kind of move towards more white collar work as potentially. So let's see, let's hold off on that first. I want to show you the budget menu. So here you can set up your taxes. Now, a lot of people say that you can put your taxes at 12% on everything before they start complaining. I have not found that to be true. I have found that I could probably get to 11%, but they might start complaining if they don't have enough services covered, which could be, you know, healthcare, emergency services, education, transit, things like that. So right now, I'm just going to bump it up to 10%, and I like to have my industrial zones at like 11%. Sometimes the commercial could also be 11% as well. Budget, so the roads, I always put it at 50%. That's the very lowest you can do. And then the electricity, we can bump it up so that our wind turbines produce more electricity. That way, we're not placing so many of those, and that can help us out a little bit. I wouldn't change any of these other ones because we do need them, so we're going to leave those alone. We also, I didn't show you the loans. We do have, once you hit that first milestone, you can take out a loan of 20,000. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you are going to get a loan, you might as well get the 60,000. I think you get that at the population of 950. So that might be 1 or 2 milestones after the first one. Okay, so bumping up the budget for our electricity helped us there. So our citizens are happy with the electricity. Let's just double check. Okay, so we will have to, you know, buy a new power plant soon. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and put in some more industrial zones. So as industrial zones are created, they create more jobs, which will affect your need for residential areas. The commercial also uses the goods that are produced by the industrial zones. So you will need to have commercial as well. So things can get a little dicey if you have only a few industrial zones and like more commercial, because they won't have enough goods to sell, and then they'll run out of business, and it'll affect the whole system, the whole economy you've set up. So I'm gonna make some more residential. And I'm going to kind of stop here. I think that'll be good. There we go. And then I think we can make another road this way. Okay, I think I am going to go ahead and put in a coal power plant. The wind turbines just are not very efficient. But before we place down that coal power plant, I want to make sure that we are using a better road. So just going to go back to our normal road here. And you can see roads do cost money. And when you are placing roads, just keep in mind these main roads these main connections that you have, they will probably need to be upgraded eventually at some point. Okay, so we're at 950. That is the second milestone. We have a new area that we can buy. We have some more policies, some another loan we could take out. We have some new services as well, and we have forestry specialization. So that gave us another $20,000, which is really, really good. So we are making a profit, and we want to make sure that we stay there if at all possible. But usually, once you get past that first milestone, everything should be pretty copacetic as far as the budget. It might seem a little bit hard at first when you start out playing, but once you get going, it's pretty easy as far as managing the money aspect. Your city will make money very, very quickly. I'm going to place this here, and I'm going to put down more industry there. Another thing to keep in mind with your industry is that they are more susceptible to fires, so you want to make sure that you have a fire station somewhere near there. Fire stations are pretty expensive. They're at $12,000. So when I'm placing the very first one in the city, I like to place it somewhat in between my industry and my residential. So I know that this road is going to be upgraded, so I don't want to place it on this road. Instead, I think what I want to do is I'm gonna make an interior road here, and we're going to place it on this interior road. So you can see our people are already using this interior road because they think it's faster somehow. So they will take the fastest route possible. Just another thing to keep in mind. All right. So on this interior road, I think it would actually be really good to place some other services. So we do need a school. I think if I place it here, that might be good. You can see that makes our citizens happy. We do have enough money to place a medical clinic, but I think I'm going to hold off on that. We do want to place down the police station quickly. Usually the criminals will come out if you don't place this down pretty fast. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I am just going to add some more residents for us. This should bring in some more revenue, some more tax revenue. You can also see that we need some more commercial in here. And I think maybe we can add some commercial right here. So you may notice when placing down roads, some roads will have parking on the side and some of them won't. So you can see here, this is a 2-lane road, but we have parking available on the side for our residents. This medium road here does not have parking for people. So you can find the different details about a road by clicking on the menu. In the road menu, it'll tell you if it comes with parking spaces or not. This one does. This one doesn't. Even though they're both 2-lane roads, this one has wide sidewalks that don't support parking. So you kind of have to, decide if you want parking or if you want some nice sidewalks for your residents. Another thing that came with our update is districts. Districts can be used to give, some different, different policies are available with districts. Before I go into that, let's check out this milestone. This is the third milestone at 1500. We have park areas, industry areas, pedestrian areas. These are all really cool. Also have leisure, that's parks that come with the game, the base game. We also have some new policies. So that's what I was talking about with your districts. The policies can be set either citywide or they can be set by district. So we'll take a look at that after this. All right, so let's say this is our district here for our industry. And then we have this here for our neighborhood. And we'll go ahead and include this commercial area here as well for that. So let's just rename our industry area Garnett Industrial Park. Okay, so then we can go to district policies and we can decide what kind of policies will affect our industry. Personally, I think this smoke detector one might be good because the industry is more susceptible to fires, but it does cost 5 simoleons per building. So, you have to keep that in mind. It's very easy to set these policies and then quickly go in the red because they're just too expensive to keep up with. So I'm just going to set this for this industrial zone. I think there's another one that is for industry areas. Maybe I thought I saw something. Maybe not. Maybe it's just that. Okay, so then over here, Dale District, let's rename this, what should we call this? Brookhaven neighborhood, even though there's no water in it. Brookhaven, so Brookhaven, they will prefer parks. Let's do that. Oh, prefer parks here. Oh, I guess it doesn't really. This one really is for plazas and promenades. This is probably actually more expensive than the Parks and Rec one. But let's go with the Parks and Rec one. We have one sick citizen, so let's give them a clinic that they can visit. And then let's place down a park. Now, the parks will affect the land value, which is good. You want the land value to be raised, to increase, because that will bring in some wealthier people to your town. that will, raise the land value, which will raise your taxes, things like that. And, that will increase your happiness as well for your citizens. So I want to have a park that is off of this road, I think here. Let's do that. And then let's make a connection. We're going to use this 2-lane road with wide sidewalks. I'm going to use this curved road to make a curve like that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upgrade the roads in our neighborhood. All right, let's just check to see what our next milestone is. Okay, 2,800. Let's see. I think we can put in some more industry really quickly here. I'm going to leave this space open for a plaza or something like that. And then I'm also leaving these spaces open for anything else, like you might want to put, a post office there, buses or something there, bus depot, something like that. We can leave that open. All right. So this area here is actually pretty popular. We've got a lot of pedestrians coming through here, walking into town. This area here is getting pretty busy because this is the only connection that we have to get back onto the highway. So that is something that we will have to watch out for. We need to add another connection eventually at some point. And why don't we do that? Why don't we go ahead and upgrade this road since we have the money? Let's do that. And then I think that's okay. I think we can leave that there. So one thing we could do is we could make a connection here like that. That will help us a little bit to reduce some of the traffic. So our trucks can go this way instead of going all the way up here. You can also make this connection over here as well. But this is a situation where we could have done a roundabout. There could be a roundabout here to help reduce the traffic or to increase our traffic flow. That is an option. And maybe we'll do that in the next episode. Because you can see here that the AI does not like to make left turns. I will be honest with you. Normally, I do put my industry to the right of the highway, just because of that. Because the AI doesn't like to make left turns. But in this situation, I feel like it was better to place it here. So, yeah. But anyway. Yeah, that is the start of our city. I'll stop messing around with the camera so you can actually focus on something. That is the start of our city. I have not named this city, so if you have any ideas, let me know. But this city is going to be our tutorial city for this beginner's guide that I am creating. And yeah, so in the next episode, we can work on hitting that 2,800 milestone let's see what we get with that. We get another area, we get transport, so that'll be buses. We get trams, we get the postal service, we have some other things as well, some new policies, some new roads. That'll be really good for us. And oh, we get an advanced turbine. That will be really good to use to help us with our electricity as well. Yeah, so in the next episode, we will expand to a new tile as well. And yeah, we'll work on hitting that milestone. We'll also probably work on buses, parks, plazas and promenades. If you have that DLC, that's one of my favorites. Yeah, and that is it, I think. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of it. If you don't mind liking the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And with that, I will say goodbye.